What's going on, y'all? All right. Not too great of a performance tonight. Obviously, the first half was pretty crazy. Bulls scored 45 points in that first half. In the second quarter. 75 points in the first half. One hell of a performance. And then things got weird. Things got really weird at halftime. I have to be real, y'all. Like, it is. The Bulls fan base looks terrible tonight. We look stupid. Like, we look stupid as hell. And oh boy, man. It looks bad. It truly looks terrible. And I know that tonight's supposed to be like a big thing. You know, it's supposed to be like remembering stuff, but I have to say, man, that the organization as a whole, I don't think did a good job with some of the things. And then this happened tonight, which we'll talk a little bit about. It's flat inexcusable by Bulls fans. It truly is. And I don't know, man. Like I've met a lot of Bulls fans in my time, or just I'll just even say like Chicago fans, right? And Chicago sports fans. And look, like I think when it comes to, you know, like the Cubs and Sox rivalry, I think that's fine. Like, you know, all the bickering goes back and forth between those two fan bases. And when it comes to like when you want to call out owners who clearly have not done a good job, like I think that's also pretty valid. But look, I don't like Jerry Krause either. Like I'm not a fan of Jerry Krause, but I've said to people, like, I can't ignore what he did to the franchise. He is the most successful general manager of this franchise. It's just facts. And in a night like tonight, where you need to put things aside of like your, like, you know, if you don't like to do like whatever, like, look, man, I'm sure that there are some players out there that came back tonight who don't really like some of their teammates that they played on that 95-96 team with, but they're not there to, like, you know, hate on their teammate or to go out there and disrespect one of their teammates or anything like that. They're not going to be out there like putting on some sort of like big whole thing about, oh, I don't like this player and like I hate the fact that they're here or and whatnot. Like that's not what tonight's about. Okay, and tonight is supposed to be about going back and looking at the success of this franchise, of the, you know, not even just from the 90s, like players even before that, the great players that played for the Bulls, and some of the great coaches and executives that have played for the Bulls or have been part of this Bulls organization. And the fan base decides, let's boo Jerry Krause, who is not even alive today, and his widow is up there in place for him, and it's immediate booing right when his name is called. I don't know, man. It looks dreadful right now. And if you really want people to come to Chicago, like, you want the best coaches, the best executives, and owner to take over Jerry Reinsdorf's spot, for God's sake. And most importantly, the people that actually make the organization go with the players. You want people to come to Chicago and play for a Chicago sports team, and you as the fan base decide, hey, let's go boo one of the most successful members of the front office of our organization in our history. Let's go do that. Who isn't even alive today? Let's do that. Unreal. It's flat out unreal. Let me make things clear for the people that are watching this live, and for the people that are going to be watching this VOD. And I know it's not many of you, but I still at least get 100 people to come in and watch this stream, whether it is via live or it's via the VOD. Okay? I don't have a lot of influence on Bulls Nation. I know I don't. But I know that there are some people still here that truly appreciate the community that I have built and that we have built together, right? Let me make it clear right now. That sort of stuff, that disrespect, for especially a night like tonight, that's not going to happen here in this community. I even admit, I don't like Jerry Krause either. I don't think I think that there's a lot, especially shown in the Last Dance documentary, that makes him the bad guy. I get it. But that's not what tonight's about. That's not what tonight's about whatsoever. That should not be even close to what's even be on our minds tonight. But that's what people at the United Center decided to do tonight. So I don't know if I'm ever going to speak to somebody that went to the United Center tonight, or if anyone will even find my stream who went to the United Center. But if you decided to boo when Jerry Krause's name was called, shame on you. You want to see success for this franchise that you decided to go pay tickets for? Let's actually make sure that the fan base is a welcoming fan base to everybody. And they actually cheer for success. It's quite frustrating to see this, because I think that there's a lot of good Bulls fans, and I love the people that come into this channel that have actually willing and thoughtful conversations with everybody. It's not just me. You guys talk amongst yourselves. You guys interact with each other. This is part of Bulls Nation is about the fan base being all together. And yet what I saw tonight, I'll say this, I think recently, in terms of the Bulls fan base, I have not been exactly thrilled with some of the stuff that I've seen from people within the fan base. I'm not talking about my community. I'm talking about other people in the fan base. Okay, and it's stuff we're starting to hate on people's personal lives. We're talking bad about people that has nothing to do with the basketball court. It's other stuff is starting to come through, and that stuff really doesn't put me in a good mood, because at the end of the day, people still are human beings. But it also just frustrates me, because I think that we're seeing some of the fan base, it's truly gotten to the point where the only people that do get attention are the people that have decided to make a big showing and make a big whole thing about oh my god, look at me, I'm a terrible person committing a terrible act, or you say some really dumb stuff and you get attention, because that's how social media works nowadays. And that's not what I want to see. I don't want to see that in the Bulls community. And I'm not here to be the police of the community. I'm not here to be that, but I just want to be proud when I'm hey, I'm part of the Bulls community. I think that's something that we should all be proud of. But tonight, man, I'm not happy to be part of the Bulls community whatsoever. I'm flat out disgusted to be part of the Bulls community tonight. It's truly just eye-opening to see what happened tonight, and I hope that something like this doesn't happen again. And I certainly hope that it didn't ruin Bulls fans or Chicago's reputation. But I think the damage has already been done. So, it's truly maddening in my opinion, what we saw tonight, or what we witnessed tonight. But I'll leave it there. And I'm sure that some of you will have your thoughts on it as well as we move forward with this stream. I'm not here to make a big statement, but I'm just going to say this. Let's be better. the world is already at basically right now. If you look around the world's at war. Like, it's hell for other people right now. The last thing we need is for unnecessary hate. Let's be better, please, for the love of God. All right, moving on. Going on, Skokes and Patrick. Yeah, frustrating loss tonight. Also, just a frustrating night for the fan base, at least for someone like me, and I think many other people as well. Just frustrating. Longley flew from Australia, Kukoc flew from Croatia, Jordan Pippen, Robin, no class, no show. So yeah, so first off, I just want to make this clear for what happened tonight. It is the Bulls Ring of Honor 2024 tonight. So we brought back a lot of people from the past, and it included, you know, people not just from the 90s, not for just the 95-96 team, included people from the 80s, the 70s, 60s. It was a lot of people coming back tonight to come into Chicago and be a kind of a part of a special moment, right? Having a lot of history brought into one building. And obviously one of the biggest things they wanted to honor was the greatest team of all time, which was the 72-10 Bulls 95-96 season, where the Bulls won their 4th championship. Jordan, Pippen, Rodman, the big three were no-shows, unfortunately. And I'm just gonna say this: Dennis Rodman did try to make like an actual like effort to come out tonight. He posted a video saying that his flight, he was trying to get to Chicago. Obviously, we all know if you're in the Chicago area, we know that we're all in a snowstorm right now. So it is not fun to travel, and there's snowstorms across the United States. So Rodman did actually try to he legitimately tried to come in tonight, but unfortunately all of his flights got canceled and he was not able to make it. So I just want to say that Rodman, he did try to make an effort. It's not like he just decided to be like, nah, I'm good. He legitimately tried to come tonight. He just wasn't able to make it due to weather conditions, which is obvious control completely. So I just want to make that clear. Now with Jordan and Pippen, it does suck that they were not there. Jordan obviously had the message that we all saw in the Jumbotron. That was also posted before the game even started. So Jordan did have a message, which was nice to see. He addressed the crowd and everything. I don't personally know why he wasn't able to make it. It does suck that maybe there was some sort of scheduling conflict. And I don't know, maybe the Rhinesurfs need to do a better job of making sure that the best player of all time is able to actually make it to this specific night. It could honestly be that Jordan just didn't want to come. I'm not entirely sure, but I thought Jordan wasn't going to go to the NBA 75, introductions and everything, but he made it, and he was at a NASCAR race that day. So I would think that Jordan would be here if he could, but I don't know personally. But he did at least address the crowd. It truly does suck that Scottie Pippen was not there, and there was nothing about Scottie, at least what I saw. Really do not know what's going on with him. I know he's had some ridiculous, thoughts and stuff, but it is what it is. It sucks that people aren't there. Jordan said, all right, if only the game ended the first half would have been fun. Yeah, definitely. Jordan was at Michigan versus Washington game. BS from him, in my opinion. Is one of his sons playing? That would be the only reason why, or maybe there's something else. Like maybe there's a legitimate connection he had to go to that game, if that's actually the case. But yeah, truly sucks. Where was that Natty in Michigan versus Washington Monday? Oh, sorry. Okay, so that game was not today, right? Okay, yeah, I don't know that. I really don't know. It could honestly just be BS from him, but I don't like to pry into people's lives. Like if they there's a lot of things that that can be said, you know, like people will say like I can't make it, and you may think like they like they're just making up some sort of excuse, but like there could actually be some things happening. So I'm not gonna like try to like investigate about it or try to accuse him. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that. Now with Pippen, like I think it honestly looks worse by Pippen. There was like no video or anything, and there's like nothing being said, but still, I'm not gonna pry into that. I'm just gonna assume that hey, they actually had something that they had to do tonight. It sucks that they weren't able to make it. But yeah, it is what it is. I switched by into PWO this year. I also don't know when I'll get over the Bulls passing by open threes. So yeah, I will say, Patrick, it's still an up and down year. When obviously Levine was out and he was starting, I thought he looked really good. I thought that there was a lot of games where he looked really solid. But as I was continuing to say with people, it's not like his usage percentage was changing. Like he wasn't doing anything different. He just literally was doing the same things, whether Levine was on the court or not. He just was hitting his shots. Like he was hitting everything. And I don't know, man. It just seems like a testament to show like that Zach is back and Kobe is still having like ridiculous games still. So I'm just gonna be like, he just still needs to just play better. I kind of mentioned it in the last stream that like Pat's getting a ton of minutes off the bench right now. Like it's this is stuff that like it's not like he's suddenly at like 12 minutes a game off the bench. He's getting starting level minutes off the bench. The Bulls are basically like running 7 guys out there, or I guess 8 with Drummond, but Pat's getting a ton of minutes. And tonight was all right. It wasn't like amazing. But 9 points, 7 assists was pretty good. I don't know how this rebounding number isn't higher, but it wasn't terrible. I'll say that tonight. But still, you probably want more. You still probably want more from Pat in the end, but I don't think that's like the biggest thing we need to be talking about tonight in this game. Tonight is very odd because the Bulls were looking insane in the first half. I thought they got off to a nice start. Things kind of slowed down a little bit in the first quarter, but it was okay. They still scored 30 points. It's like, hey, you know what? You scored 30. The defense kind of had some suffer, like, they kind of suffered a little bit near the end of the quarter, but it's okay. Claw your way back. And the Bulls, the lead for the Warriors in the second quarter, I think grew up to 9 at one point. I don't exactly remember the exact number, but the lead wasn't too big by the Warriors, and the Bulls hung in there. And then that last like 7-ish minutes of the second quarter, the Bulls exploded. They were hitting threes like left and right. They could not be stopped. And suddenly the Bulls had a 13-point lead going to halftime or whatever. I think it was 13 going to halftime with Kobe White hitting that ridiculously long three from Denzel Valentine range to end the half. That truly was awesome to watch. That's kind of the way I want to see this Bulls team operate. It's awesome just to see that Kobe, who's been such a good three-point shooter this entire season, he is just taking threes with no hesitation. Zach was taking threes with no hesitation as well. Guys were just shooting threes. I was like, hey, this is great. Come third quarter. Now, the Warriors did their 3-2 zone, and I'm a little shocked that the Bulls didn't have a better adjustment in plan for the 3-2 zone. The Warriors have run many zone defenses in Steve Kerr's time as head coach, so this is not abnormal. Like, this isn't something like that came out of nowhere tonight. The Warriors have run a triangle and 2. We've seen the Warriors kind of just do like a matchup zone before. Tonight was a 3-2 zone, and it truly did kill the Bulls tonight. And as usual, when it comes to any sort of zone, you need to find ways to break the zone. You need to get the ball into the middle of the floor, which then will force rotations to come in from the zone defense and get guys out of position. And then you can start moving off of that. And I think the Bulls, in a sense, they were sort of finding the gaps in the zone. The problem was that it was the guys that got the ball in these certain areas, they're just not that good. Like, when they're forced to make decisions, that's where things go bad. Like, for example, Dalen Terry, who I think has played well recently, and I think he's actually done a better job since actually having some minutes in recent games. Like, he's not playing a ton, but he's having some consistent time now. I think he's done a pretty decent job. The thing is with Dalen Terry is that you either want him to just the only decisions he has to make is either shoot the ball or I drive to the basket and a line drive and go and finish, right? That's all that matters when it comes to Dalen Terry. But then if you add on a third thing, right, where you have to ask him to pass the ball or make a good read of the defense and find the open man, that's where things get rough. And it's not just him that has some of these mistakes. It's also Patrick Williams. It's also Ayo Dosunmu. So the Warriors were really forcing some of the guys that don't really have the ball a lot in their hands, right, to make some big decisions, and it wasn't really going too well for those specific guys. And that's not me saying that like this is their fault. It's not. It just shows you that the Warriors know this team really well, and they force the guys that you don't, for the Bulls, you don't want making decisions, to make some tough decisions tonight. So props to Steve Kerr and the Warriors for making some really good adjustments, because they had an actual game plan tonight that was like, it wasn't executed to perfection, but it was very, very impactful. So big props to them. I think the Bulls, though, they needed to have a counter for this earlier. And the Bulls, like, I think the Bulls offense tonight, like, it wasn't like they weren't passing the ball. Bulls had 31 assists tonight. That's nothing to scoff at. Like, that's a very good number. The Bulls, I think, had 20-something assists in halftime. So, yeah, as you can see, the number went down in the second half, but the Bulls didn't hit a three-point shot in that third quarter. So, it just, when you don't hit your threes, your assists are just going to go down. And this, unfortunately, in my opinion, this game came down to some roster construction issues. One, we saw the lack of consistent shooting from this team. When the guys that are not in the starting lineup start shooting the ball, things kind of go south, right? Dalen Terry 0 for 3, Pat 1 for 3. Or I guess Pat doesn't really count in a sense, but actually Iowa was pretty good. But you could just see, though, from the overall bench production that there wasn't really a lot going on tonight from the bench production. Most of the offense came from 4 guys in the starting lineup, and so when you didn't have those 4 guys, doing a lot, right? That's where things go wrong, unfortunately. And you're then hoping to rely on some of these other guys to start scoring. And it just wasn't happening tonight. So, it just shows you, in my opinion, just lack of consistent 3-point shooting from the role players. And then the second thing in terms of roster construction is that the Bulls just don't have an actual mobile big. And I think Drummond's pretty mobile in a sense, but I'm talking a big that can switch 1 through 5 easily and is also then athletic and big enough to then rebound effectively even when he's the only big in a sense on the floor. The Warriors always find these guys where they're just you don't really think too much about them, but you're like, hey, that's a really good player for us to have because it fits into our offense. If high pace and space, set good screens, roll hard, and make decisions with the basketball. And the Warriors just have those guys. And it Trace Jackson Davis, Dario Saric, and then obviously Draymond Green when he's playing. Those guys kill the Bulls tonight. Straight up kill the Bulls. And that kind of shows you where the Bulls lack that sort of thing. And again, kind of just, it's a roster thing. This is not disrespecting Vooch. I'm not saying this is me hating on Vooch or Drummond. It's just that they're just slow-footed. And obviously you need guys like Vooch and Drummond against other teams, okay? But in a game like the Warriors, against a team like the Warriors, you need a more mobile big. And I think the Bulls should have probably went small ball earlier. I understand why Donovan didn't do that earlier, but I think they should have went small ball earlier to kind of help some things. But it is what it is. So it's a tough game. I did say though before this, my prediction for this game is that I do think that the Warriors still have an advantage because I know that this was going to be a little tough game for the Bulls to even try to win in the first place. Again, they still have the best player on the floor, so advantage I always think it's to that team unless it's just one player and a bunch of nobodies. So tough to see, but it's one game and Bulls got to go play tomorrow in San Antonio and get that win. So it's gonna be tough. No nights off, honestly, especially coming up here. Let's see. The GS was 20 and 47 for 3, Bulls for 18 4. Still feel like we could have shot 5+ more threes. I do think the Bulls did pass on a few threes, but I think tonight's not one of those games where I'm going to be like too upset about it, because I do think that the Bulls were doing a lot of that good stuff in the first half. It just kind of sucked that the 3-point shot wasn't going down in the second half. So yeah. But to watch the other team go on a huge run hitting threes and we take crappy 2-point shots. There was definitely in that second quarter in that third quarter, there were some crappy 2-point shots for sure. I don't disagree with that. But that's also what the Warriors defense was trying to make us do, right? They're forcing us to start taking some of those shots that aren't as efficient. That's it. That's the entire Warriors defense. Or it's forcing guys to make some decisions that you don't want making decisions. Again, just good stuff from the Warriors. There needs to be a better counter for the Bulls against the zone, because I think one of the things that they should have done earlier was that they needed to put LaVine or Kobe in a corner against the zone. When you were watching it initially, you were seeing that it was DeRozan, Kobe, and LaVine. They were all like at the top of the key or the wings, right? And they were trying to navigate the defense from the top, from basically the spearhead of the defense, which is the three guys up top. And you can move the ball around as much as you want. It's not going to get anywhere though, because the Bulls' offense is all about the ball movement, kind of in that top of the key area, especially with the Vooch and like the split action stuff. Like it's that zone covers that up pretty quickly. What I think they need to actually start doing is they needed to put some of their best players in the corner, because obviously in the 3-2 zone, the zone is then covered up by just the two, right? So if you can force one of those guys to have to run out to a corner, then the backline defense is not as effective, because one of the bigger guys has had to run out to the corner already. Therefore, when you go to the paint, yes, the defense will collapse, but you already removed one of the big guys, and the other guys coming in, they're not as big. So you should be able to either get a easier bucket at the basket, or you should be able to draw a bunch of attention in from the zone defense, and then you can kick it back out for a cleaner look. So I think that's something that they should have looked at. The Bulls actually started to take advantage of this in the fourth quarter, because when Zach hit a 3-point shot, and then he hit another 3 after it. But the initial 3-point shot that he hit, that was kind of what I was looking for, because I know with Zach, when he's playing baseline, like, it's very hard to stop him in the first place. And then if you don't have man coverage on him, then I think it's even harder for him to stop him. So I think that was something that I could have looked for earlier, instead of having him try to like go through the zone defense himself. But it's basketball. Things happen really quickly, so I don't really blame him. And it's very odd to even like say like, well, the Bulls offense kind of had some struggles, right? Because we scored 131 points, which is ridiculous. Where like we don't typically do that. The Bulls are still a bottom third team in the league in terms of offensive rating coming into this game. So like this stuff that we saw tonight is not normal. But if you think about it though, the Bulls only scored 56 points in that second half, right? They scored 75 in the first half, which is insane. But that second half was not very good offensively. If you have a 20-point quarter in the first place, that is not good offensively. So yeah, things just bad. Second, third quarter slowly flipped. Yeah, the Warriors legitimately flipped the script. It was literally one of those third quarter runs by the Warriors that we know and love. We know that the third quarter for the Warriors is very good. Looney was going Looney tonight. It wasn't necessarily Looney. Like, he was doing really good, especially on the screen and rolls. The guy that I was more pissed off at, or the Bulls' lack of coverage at, I should say, I was more pissed off at, was Dario Saric. Because Saric was giving the Bulls the business early, right? And he was just being, like, really effective off the screen and roll, especially off the handoffs, right? But then after that, like, Trayce Jackson-Davis had some really good plays. And even Jonathan Kuminga after that, when he was kind of like the role guy. Kuminga was really hitting his outside shots, which was killing us, because that was like one of the guys where you're like, hey, let's leave him open. Because we have to guard Curry and Thompson anyway. Like, if we're gonna bet on somebody, let's leave Kuminga, or let's not try to like go and contest him as hard. We can maybe cheat off of him. And unfortunately, he hit all 4 of his threes tonight. So the two guys that you're kind of like, hey, we're kind of willing to like cheat off of, one is Andrew Wiggins, and then the other guy would be Kuminga. After that, though, it's like, yikes. This is what the Warriors do, man. They're very good at this. I know they struggle, but their struggles have been on the defensive end. Like, their offensive rating is not terrible. Their struggles have been defensively, and obviously they're missing their defensive anchor in Draymond Green. So that will kill your defense when you're missing your defensive anchor. So yeah, sucked. I think a big moment tonight, and it really was kind of hurtful to watch. We know that the Bulls came out at halftime, and we know the karma thing happened during the halftime ceremony. But Bulls came out at halftime, and Klay Thompson caught fire, right? And suddenly then the game was tied very quickly after the Bulls had a 13-point lead. The thing that killed us, in my opinion, even more, because obviously the Warriors were running a 3-2 defense, but Kobe picked up his 4th foul with basically 6 minutes left to go in the 3rd quarter. That killed the Bulls. Like that destroyed the Bulls because we've seen before that if you only have to guard LaVine and DeRozan, we've seen teams be able to guard it. When you add Kobe and what he's been doing, it becomes so much harder to guard this team because not only then are you allowing Zach to play more off ball, he's a bigger threat that way, but then DeRozan is also then in a sense a threat, and he's not expending as much energy being on ball. So Kobe picked up his 4th foul, and that killed the Bulls because we know Kobe usually plays a good chunk of the 3rd quarter. He had to come out basically halfway through the 3rd quarter, and that killed the Bulls' momentum. Kobe had a 21-point first half. He ended with 25 points. That kind of shows you how much the Bulls really desperately need his offense, especially against that zone coverage, because another way to get out of a zone or break a zone is just to shoot your way out of it. And we could have 1,000% used Kobe's 3-point shooting to break out of that zone in that 3rd quarter. And the Bulls were seriously missing him when he had to go to the bench due to a late foul call, which, yes, it was a foul. It's just I don't understand why the officials don't call a foul unless the shot was missed. So it's pretty frustrating, honestly, but we just got to be better in terms of the foul situation. Sorry. I'm getting stuff about Jerry Krause getting booed still, which this is going to be a topic for a while, and I'm not happy about what we saw tonight at halftime. That was really disgusting by this Bulls fan. Damn. Sorry, on offense was crazy for them, but we weren't scoring anything in the paint on Looney. Very tough. Well, first off, let me say this. I think Kevon Looney is actually a very good rim protector. Like, he's like no slouch. Like, I think Looney is no joke when it comes to protection. However, I do think that the Warriors, I do think that the Warriors, like, their perimeter defense has not been good. And I do agree with you that the Bulls should have been looking to score more in the paint. But the Warriors had their adjustments, right? That 3-2 zone basically stopped the Bulls' penetration and allowed the Warriors to kind of stack up on the perimeter, and the Bulls had trouble getting through it. So it's just a big credit to how coaching and having like a really game plan, like, it does affect, right? And I'm not like trying to bash Donovan. I do think that Donovan did make some adjustments tonight. He did go to that small ball, which got the Bulls back in the game in the 4th quarter, but it kind of just shows you, like, when there is a counter that comes out, like, how do you counter the counter? And that's something that I'm still kind of like waiting to see how Diamond kind of does some stuff. Tonight's one of those nights. Like, your offense that you typically run that has been very successful recently, it does kind of get stopped from this 3-2 zone. So what's then the counter? Because you can't play a zone defense, like, or try to play against a zone defense the same way you typically do against a man coverage. It's just not the same. So kind of where I'm like, hey, we need to find ways to break through this. And I just don't think the Bulls had a game plan for them. Go on, Law Mob. Jerry Krause, he's been dead for years, man. Yeah. I don't know what you saw, Llama, but yeah, it's the Ring of Honor tonight. So we're celebrating a lot of Chicago Bulls players, coaches, executives, um, and it's from all eras: 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like it's basically to celebrate the history of the organization and some major pillars for it. And look, man, I'm not a fan of Jerry Krause. Like I get it. I understand that he like the things that we saw in The Last Dance, and then obviously the people that lived through the 90s. Like, I get it. I understand why you don't like him. But that's not what tonight's about. Like, that is truly not what tonight's about whatsoever. It is not about, hey, we hate this dude, and yes, he's dead, let's boo him. Like, that's not what tonight's about. Like, it just frustrates the hell out of me to see that Bulls fans are like, we're going to make sure our personal feelings are hurt today, when it clearly was, it's not meant to be heard today. We should not be booing Jerry Krause tonight. Yeah, we can talk bad about him many other days, because, hey, look, I've also talked bad about Jerry Krause. I'll admit it, right? But that's not what tonight's about. It truly is frustrating to see that Bulls Nation's like, yeah, we're going to make sure that we boo Jerry Krause tonight. It's not what we should be doing whatsoever. Like, I said this at the beginning of my stream. I'm sure that there are some people who came back tonight that was part of the 95-96 team, and they probably didn't like some of their teammates, or they didn't like a coach, or I'm sure some people didn't necessarily like Jerry Sloan or some of these other people. Like, I'm sure that was the case for some of these guys. But what they're not going to do tonight is make a big scene about that they didn't like this certain player, or this player did this, or this player did something bad. That's not what tonight's about, right? Tonight's about respecting what these pillars did for this organization. And Bulls Nation just decided we're gonna make sure we boo Jerry Krause tonight, who is dead, and his wife's representing him. It's just it looks so terrible on us. And I'll say this one more time. If you want people to come and play for a Chicago sports team, whether it's baseball, hockey, football, basketball, soccer, whatever, this is ridiculous. This is no way to make this city enticing to come play sports at. It truly looks terrible. Like, it genuinely looks terrible right now. I won't be shocked if it's like, well, I don't want to go to Chicago because Chicago Bulls fans just booed Jerry Krause, who was the most successful front office member of this entire organization's history. Like, what? Like, yeah, I wouldn't want to go to Chicago either if I wasn't, part of a Bulls Nation. Like, it looks so terrible on us, and I'm entirely frustrated by Bulls Nation too. What was Jordan's excuse? I don't know personally, but I'm not gonna dig into it. I'll say it one more time. Rodman actually tried to get here tonight. Rodman was trying to fly in tonight, and obviously it's a snowstorm here. No one should be traveling in this weather. Rodman had sent a video. He obviously couldn't make it. It sucks. Jordan obviously made the video. I don't know personally what he had to do. It sucks that he wasn't here. It also sucks that Pippen wasn't here. I would have loved to see them both here, but I'm not going to pry into it. I'm just going to assume that, hey, they had something more important to do. Yeah. 96 King said it perfectly. That was something that would happen in New York and Philly. Definitely Philly. Yeah. Yeah, definitely Philly. But, I mean, honestly, I'm just going to be real. I think New York fans would cheer because they haven't had any sort of success recently. Bulls are embarrassment as an organization. Well, I honestly think that the fans are more of an embarrassment tonight than the Bulls. Like, I'm being dead honest. The Bulls are a very a big embarrassment. Like, yeah, there's so many issues with this Bulls organization, but the fan base tonight it's even worse. This would never happen with the Lakers, Heat, or Warriors. Yeah, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. frustrating night. It's truly just, it's a frustrating night. Karma is an actual real bitch. Like, I'm not shocked the Bulls lost this game after what we saw tonight. Chicago's supposed to be better than that? I mean, hell, it's not just about Chicago. It's just about, like, you're supposed to be respecting the greatness, right? Like, this Bull, we as fans haven't looked at greatness in a long time from this Bulls organization, and yet we start booing the guy that brought the guy in the front office that was in charge of 6 championships. Again, I understand the media didn't like him. A lot of fans didn't like him. I get it. Like, I understand. I wasn't alive for that time, but I'm aware of how people thought Jerry Krause was the bad guy. And I do think that he made some bad decisions, especially with what we saw in The Last Dance. But that's not what tonight's about. That's just not what it's about tonight. Like, The Last Dance, I think, kind of did its job of, like, hey, look, Jerry Krause wasn't, like, the best person. Like, and that's fine. Like, that's The Last Dance, right? Tonight's not The Last Dance. Tonight's something completely different. And now, of course, because of all this, like, oh my god, man, like, it's gonna be hell from Reinsdorf from here on out. Like, I've checked in on Twitter a little bit from, like, what Casey Johnson had to say, because, like, Casey Johnson kind of tweeted some stuff out immediately after, but, like, Reinsdorf is, like, already, like, he has so many issues with the fans already. He calls the fans a bunch of bums. Like, he already says all this stuff, and yes, we're paying him money. But this is what Reinsdorf gave out as a press release that was given to Casey Johnson, like, right after the game. And it's nothing, you know, serious. It's just, like, yeah. I just know that Reinsdorf's going to be insufferable now, because he's just going to be like, well, you guys booed Jerry Krause. How dare you? You're such terrible fans. And look, man, I don't know if Reinsdorf's actually trying to, like, move out of Chicago with his baseball team, but I mean, if there's any reason why to move out, he has another reason tonight. So, no. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as hell what we saw tonight. Look, like, I'm aware, like, I wasn't alive for Jerry Krause's time when he was general manager or whatever his role was, vice president of basketball operations. But, like, yeah, I do think that there was stuff, like, he was a scumbag. Like, I get it. I truly do get it. But at the same time, let's be real about something here. It's not like this dude was going out and committing, like, ridiculous, like, terrible crimes. Like, he didn't go kill somebody, right? Like, it's not that. And sure, he probably disrespected a lot of people. I'm aware. Like, he probably wasn't the best person to be around. But at the same time, that's not what tonight's about. Like, yeah, again, I wasn't around for it, but the Last Dance gave me a damn good representation of him. And I know a lot of people that were alive for when he was around. And look, when they were when they're doing introductions for, you know, the start of the season, and, like, before, like, the last, for the 97-98 season, right? Like, when they're doing introductions, like, okay, we're gonna introduce everybody to the front office of the organization, and Jerry Krause comes out and they call his name and they boo him. Like, yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't have an issue with that. Like, if you're gonna boo Jerry Krause when he's being introduced, and he has come out publicly to the media saying that this is the last year of Jordan and Pippen and Phil Jackson, like, hey, fine, that's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But like I said, that's then. That's not what tonight's about. Looks an odd and incomparable Judd Bush rule. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's just it's just so frustrating what we saw tonight. The great Dickie Simpkins. I was actually surprised to see that Tex Winter and Tex Winter's son was there. I was actually very surprised to see that. So it's cool to see all that. Again, you're missing the greatest player of all time and his running mate, and then obviously the best rebounder of all time. It sucks that they weren't all there, but yeah, it's a cool thing overall. I will say this though, I don't know how exactly the org kind of ran this thing. I do think that there could have been some things run better. I also thought when Phil Jackson was called and the fans were cheering loudly, that I do think Neil Funk kind of cut it off. So I don't know. It just, tonight was supposed to be awesome, and it's nowhere near that. It looks genuinely terrible tonight as Bulls Nation. I guess if the current Bulls were in a better place as an organization, you wouldn't have these kind of things happening. Probably right. But that's no excuse, though. Last question: how do we manage to get out rebounded the freaking Warriors? The Warriors are very good at rebounding this year. I mean, dead honest. The thing that the Warriors don't have. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. The thing that the Warriors don't have is, like, they don't have a good perimeter defense. They have like legitimate active bigs though. That's like a legitimate thing that they have. You can see here that the Bulls are tied for second in offensive rebounding, right? And they're 11th overall in defensive rebounding. So in total rebounding, they're fourth. Like they're like a legitimate good rebounding team. Like I'm being dead honest. So it's not that big of a surprise to me. I think the more bigger issue tonight was how terrible the Bulls looked defensively in the 3-2 zone that the Bulls can bust open. Sorry, hold on. Sorry, I took off my glasses. So I have to bring chat over to, because I'm blind. Okay, I guess it doesn't want to open. Hold on. Burn chat. Hop out. I could hear Norman Lair condemning fans tonight. He would be very disappointed if you were still here. Oh, I'm sure you would be. Their post-game live, you would go real hard on the fans if you were still alive. Oh, for sure. Bro. Norm Van Leer. Oh my god. Yeah. He'd be ripping Bulls fans apart tonight. Rest in peace. Yeah, man. It truly just embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed to be a Bulls fan tonight. This was stupid. This was just so dumb tonight to see this one. Again, I'm not a fan of Jerry Krause. I'm not saying, like, oh my god, he deserves to be praised of everything. Like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that that's not what we should be doing tonight. That's it. More stuff from Casey Johnson though. I am gonna end stream soon because this is just gonna be a shorter stream. I am very tired, but couple things. So no Wembanyama for the Spurs tomorrow. So I guess that's a break. Bulls should win tomorrow. It is the second game of back-to-back, but the Bulls should still win. This is DeMar DeRozan talking about what happened tonight. it just I think the biggest thing that I have an issue with is that he's not here, and like his wife's representing him. Like maybe I'd feel a little bit differently if he was here. I still think it's incredibly disrespectful to do such a thing, but it's the fact that like you're booing people that are his family, his friends, or whatever. Like it's not him. Like you're booing people that didn't have anything to do with the Bulls organization. I don't know. Yeah, really frustrated. Look forward to seeing Storm and Norman in the Ring of Honor. Yeah. Yeah, Box. I completely agree with you. I mean, like, I think that this Bulls organization is a very big embarrassment, but hell, the Bulls fan base tonight is a bigger embarrassment. This is stupid. This thing is not going away, by the way. Like, this isn't like a one night thing and like, okay, you know, we move on. Like, no, this is going to be talked about on national media tomorrow, or sorry, I guess on Monday. This ain't going away. This is gonna stay here for a while, and we as Bulls fans have to embrace it, because some idiots at the United Center decided to put their personal feelings on full display tonight. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty awful tonight. Yeah. All right, as I close out stream here, it is a pretty disappointing loss. Bulls, obviously, I think this is a winnable game, but I did say the Warriors have the advantage. So not too shocked at this results. I am a little bit shocked at how well the Bulls played in the first half, and then, no, that's basketball. Bulls face the Spurs tomorrow, so it does suck that the Bulls had 2 overtime games in a row, and then even back-to-back. Bulls have to travel to San Antonio tomorrow, and got to get ready for that game quickly. So, no Wembanyama. Bulls need to go win this game, sure, because then you got Cleveland and Toronto coming in. I don't think those are guaranteed. I think Toronto should be easier, but Cleveland's going to be harder for sure. So, Bulls got to go win against the Spurs tomorrow. It's going to be rough, and we need the bench guys to give a lot of support tomorrow, because the starters are going to be dead exhausted. I think DeRozan played 40 minutes tonight. I know Kobe, I think, played 37. Let's see here. Yeah, so Kobe played 37, DeRozan played 40, Zach played 35. So, and again, we've been playing we played 2 overtime games in a row. So the bench needs to come in and give some boost, because these guys are going to be pretty exhausted. And Kobe and DeRozan have gotten a ton of run recently. Obviously Zach's back now, but like Kobe and DeRozan are going to be exhausted. So we got to see some support from the bench, hopefully. And last but not least, I just want to say this. Yeah. Truly embarrassing to be a Bulls fan tonight. I don't have much influence in this community. I'm aware I'm probably not gonna ever, be able to talk to someone who went to Unite, right, tonight and do what they did. It's just, we as Bulls fans right now look horrible. We look terrible. And I mean, genuinely, like, if you go and think like, wow, like, you want players to come here, good executives come here, coaches, like, tonight's not a good example. Yeah, it's just extremely frustrating. Personal failure based on documentary, the vilified owner is, and they booed the dead guy, new law, which isn't surprising to me anymore. I mean, look, man, again, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Jerry Krause. I'm not. I don't think this dude is, like, the most perfect guy in the world, right? I am very aware that there are some stuff that happened, when it's time in the front office. I think he made some dumb decisions. Okay. Um, and look, I'm aware that there were people that he probably disrespected, that probably didn't like working for him, and whatever. But it's just, tonight's not the night for this, and he's dead, and his wife's accepting it, accepting this award or honor, and it's just, we're basically booing his family, which just they had nothing to do with the Bulls. He was the one with the Bulls. He is unfortunately dead, so his family's in place for him, and we just decided to boo when his wife's being shown. That's just terrible. And yeah, I don't know, just flat out disgusting. So I hope Bulls fans learn and be better, and accept responsibility for what they did tonight. Like, I'm aware that many Bulls fans that were not at the United Center tonight did not like to see the booing. Like, I think mostly everyone here in this community was pretty pissed off when they saw the booing tonight. Like, I'm not saying it's any of you guys, but unfortunately, the people at the United Center, they represent us. So it's just, again, they don't like directly represent us, but they are still Bulls fans, and we are part of Bulls Nation. Yeah, it's so frustrating what we saw. But I'll leave it there. Hopefully the Bulls win tomorrow. I will not be streaming after tomorrow's game, so I'll see you guys, I believe, on Monday. Take on Cleveland Cavaliers. So I'll see you guys at about 8:30. All right, peace out, y'all. Have a good night. Be safe in this crazy weather. Please be safe. Please be safe. All right, see ya.